Are you traveling on the Carnival Panorama anytime soon? Well, stop! Before you travel on the Carnival Panorama, we have 14 things that you must know before you board the ship. Hello family, it's Cynthia, your host. Welcome back to the show. Today is all about the Carnival Panorama, some things that we think you must know before you board that ship. Now, if you've been to our channel, and I hope that you have, you've probably seen the video that we discussed the 22 things that you must know before traveling on the Carnival Breeze. So check out this video right here if you haven't after this video. So I'm not going to rehearse some of the things that we already discussed when talking about the Carnival Breeze, because they are the same for all Carnival ships. Some of those things include what you can take on board. Can you take alcohol on board? Can you take water on board? We answer that in the video. Other things are like, how do you pay for purchases once you're on board the ship? We give you the full rundown. And the very first thing that I discussed that you need to know when you get on that ship to keep you safe. We discussed that in the video. So if you haven't already seen the Carnival Breeze video, to get the updates on not just what's important for Carnival Breeze, but what's important for Carnival in general, check out the video right here. And I will leave the link for that video in the description below. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to give you a couple of bonus tips, something that I think we'll find very, very helpful when you arrive in Long Beach. So let's talk about the Carnival Panorama. And I have my notebook, so I give you the accurate information. Carnival Panorama is a Vista class ship, along with the Vista and the Horizon. The Panorama is the largest of the Vista class ships with 133,500 gross tonnage. It has a maximum capacity of 4,008 guests and a maximum capacity of 1,450 crew. And the ship is 1,055 feet in length, in case you wanted to know. Carnival Panorama debuted in December of 2019. Her home port is Long Beach, California, and this is where she cruises and sails doing Mexican Riviera cruises. So I am going to start the show off with the very first point about Carnival Panorama, and that is embarkation. So embarkation on the Carnival Panorama, let's just say it was kind of hectic. Yeah. Getting to the port, we stayed the day before in the hotel there in Long Beach. And if you want to know more about that hotel, why we chose that hotel, please check out the video discussing our pre-cruise hotel. I will also leave that link for that video down in the description below. So that hotel provided the transportation to the pier, and we left in a very early time because, as anyone knows, on embarkation day you are so excited. One of the first things that you want to do is get to the terminal. So we left early and we sat in this humongous line of waiting traffic once we actually got to the terminal for at least 40 minutes, just creeping along, stop and go traffic. So that was very hectic. I don't have the answers as to what was going on, as to why it was like that, but we asked our driver and he said, that's just part of how it is on embarkation day. It's just very crowded. So pack your patience. Once you arrive at that terminal, it's just inch by inch until you're able to be dropped off. So number one, pack your patience and make sure you are leaving in plenty of time for whatever time you have for boarding, because it's going to take you at least somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, not to get there, but once you arrive at the pier, at that terminal, to actually get to a point that you can be dropped off. Here is the next thing that you need to know before you board the Carnival Panorama. In this golf ball or domed shape sphere that is the terminal port, you are able to wait until you are called. And then finally, your boarding is called and you walk up and get ready to board this ship. Whew, you better have your vitamins on board and your walking shoes. We walked and then we walked and then we walked some more. and we were only halfway there, and we walked and walked again. And on top of that, it is a slant going up, steadily up, that you are walking up and up and up to get to finally board the ship. I was so tired. And if you watch our video, I'll leave it right here, our embarkation day video. I'll drop that link down in the description below. But if you watch that video, you clearly hear that I am out of breath. I tell you, I did so many cuts to edit that video out. I had to stop. I was out of breath. I could barely walk with my luggage and talk and hold the camera at the same time. It's a steady incline and it lasts for a while. So if you have any limitations on mobility, first and foremost, there is an elevator that you can take. Thank goodness. But if you're not going to take that elevator and maybe you just simply tire easily or have any problems with walking or going for a slight distance, this could be a challenge. I don't feel that I'm in any kind of bad physical shape. I don't have any limitations, and I was tired. It's a long uphill walk to get into the Carnival Panorama area where you can board the ship. Need to know it and be prepared. Now we're going to stay on the topic of walking a lot and walking up a ramp to give you the next very important thing that you need to know. So you have entered the building almost. You are now up past that ramp to get onto the Carnival Panorama, but now you are on the outside. I don't know what it's called, this walkway, gangway, to get onto the ship, the last little bit. And it is completely open. Most of the time getting onto cruise ships, it is enclosed when you go into this last little bit of the gangway to get on the ship, but not in Long Beach. It was open, and remember, as I stated, it was very cold in Long Beach and raining and windy. Take a look. Whoa! Jeez! Oh my goodness. Long Beach has been such a revelation. It's been freezing cold, raining and windy. But so what? Here is this gangway up to the cruise ship. Here we go. So just be prepared, because whatever the weather brings, that is the conditions that you will run into walking up that last bit of that gangway, whatever it's called, into the ship. So be prepared weather-wise for that last hike uphill to get on board. So let's talk about the elevators in the Carnival Panorama. I got so many comments when I was on board the ship about these elevators. Obviously, people hadn't checked it out beforehand. So let me give you some information so you're prepared for the elevators. They're very similar if you've ever been to Disneyland at the Disneyland Hotel. The elevators are specific to the floor that you're going to go on. So you come up to the panel. It's an electronic panel. So there might be nothing there. It might just be completely dark and blank, and you touch on it and then it lights up and it says which floor. And maybe you're headed on floor 10. So you click on floor 10, bing, it'll pop up and it'll say C or D. And you're like, C or D, what is that? Well, each elevator has a letter attached to it. So maybe the elevator that is on the right side in the middle is elevator B. And maybe the elevator on the right side to the left is elevator A. So you have to look up and see, okay, this is elevator B. And if you just clicked on a floor, it tells you the letter, you get into that elevator. So you get in, and there are no panels on the inside for you to click on to go to any floor, because you already told this elevator what floor you need to go on. So you get inside, you don't have to press a thing, close it, and it only goes to the specific floors that people requested on the outside. So you can't just walk into an elevator and get in with the rest of the crowd and then find the floor that you want to go to once you're inside. It won't work that way. So on the Carnival Panorama, there are two main dining rooms. There is the Vista dining room, which is on floor 3 in the back or the aft of the ship. And then there is the Horizon dining room, which is also on floor 3, but in the forward of the ship. And let me tell you, we got confused so many times. We knew they were on 3, but the aft of a ship and the forward of a ship, when it's this large, That'll take you around a bit. These dining rooms are called MDRs, or the main dining room. The Horizon dining room is usually set aside for patrons who have set time dining. There's an early seating, usually at 6 p.m., and a late seating, somewhere between 8:30 and 9 p.m. So if you've picked either early or late seating, which you did during your embarkation process or your pre-boarding, then you're usually going to be in the Horizon dining room. And the Vista dining room, also the other main dining room there, is set aside for people who have anytime dining. So it depends on which one you pick, but both are the MDRs on the Carnival Panorama, and both have wonderful views and serve great food. Now the Carnival Panorama is home, and I'm going to read this directly from the site, of the Sky Zone, which is the first ever at sea. This is a uniquely fun indoor trampoline park and challenge zone. So that is available only on the Carnival Panorama. Let me read to you what it says. It says it's a challenge zone, and it's a shrine to soaring open adventure seekers of all ages. You do not need any shoes, and there is a requirement of no more than 300 pounds for the Sky Zone. So there is a limit to this trampoline park. They have activities in the day. They even have nighttime activities where it's all lit up. There's a slam dunk competition and so much more. So the Sky Zone, this is really exciting. It's this trampoline park only available on Panorama. And yes, there is an additional charge. This is not free, and I'm not sure of how much that charge was because we did not avail ourselves of this trampoline park, but it does look like a lot of fun. So remember, it's available on the Panorama for an additional charge. Here's something else that you definitely should know about the Carnival Panorama, and that's the ability for you to ride the Sky Ride. So what is the Sky Ride? Well, it's a bicycle up in the air. Well, it's not really a bicycle up in the air. It's even more than that. It's like a recumbent bike that's boosted high in the air on deck 12, and you can ride it on the outside of the ship all around the perimeter. It is so much fun. Once again, there is a height and weight requirement. Let me read it from the website. It says that you have to be a minimum of 54 inches to ride Sky Ride, and there is a weight limit of 250 pounds. Now, we did actually ride the Sky Ride, and we want to let you know that they do test you out to see if you meet the requirements for the Sky Ride. It was so much fun and slightly terrifying, but when you're on vacation and you're having a blast, you face your fears, right? Here's a quick video of the Sky Ride. I was moving as fast as I could. I thought, don't stop. And when the wind blows, you sway just a little bit. So it can be nail biting, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great activity. And this activity is included in the price of your cruise, so there's no additional charge. And this is only on the Vista class ships in Carnival. So that would be the Horizon, the Panorama, and the Vista. So enjoy the Sky Ride, absolutely free. Here's something to be very aware of. It's the buffet. Well, it actually closes down, and we were caught unawares. So on some of the sea days, we kind of moseyed around and did other things, and we were hungry like in a non-traditional time. It was after breakfast, after lunch, but before dinner, let's just say about 3 o'clock or 2:45. And we were like, well, you know, it's not time for dinner yet. We had early seating for dinner, which meant 6 p.m., but we were hungry now and we didn't want to just wait to 6. So let's go to the buffet, right? Wrong. The buffets shut down, closed up completely for several hours in between. And I'm not quite sure of what time it was, but I'm quite sure it was closed. And several other of my friends on board found out the same way. We stood in this line right here for the sandwich shop, which does stay open, for almost an hour to get a specialty made sandwich because that's all that was open. So somewhere in between like 3 o'clock and maybe 4 o'clock, or 2:30 and 4 o'clock, or 4:30, the buffets are completely shut down. So you're not getting anything from the buffets. If this has happened to you, or maybe you know the time a little bit better, please put a comment down below so that I can read that. And so the Right Recipe for Travel family can take a look at that. I don't know exact time frames. I just know it was shut down and we were quite hungry and a bit surprised. The Carnival Panorama Atrium. Boy, oh boy, this is a really unique and exciting feature on the Vista class ships. This is this beautiful, tall LED figure, statue, screen, whatever it is that rises all the way up to the top of the ship. And all throughout the day, there are different videos and different images that are posted on this. It makes you kind of stop and stand with your mouth open to look to see what they're showing. And during different times of the cruises, you're going to see different things. You might see Susapalooza, and you could see snow falling, or you could see fireworks or a sunset. You might see a whale or fish swimming by. You might see Santa Claus. It's no telling what they will project on this gigantic image that's right here in the middle of the atrium. And it's definitely something to take a picture with and stare at. I just think it's a really unique touch that they have there on the Carnival Panorama in these Vista class ships. So make sure you take time to get your pictures and take a look at the ever-changing view that's offered right there in the middle of the atrium. Something that you should be made aware of is when you stop on your Carnival Panorama cruise and you're going to the Isle of Cabo San Lucas, this is a tender port. What do I mean? The ship is not able to just sail right up to maybe the dock there and get settled and we walk right off onto the island. You have to actually get into a smaller boat, and then that boat will transfer you over to the island where you can get off on the pier there. So I do need to make you aware of that, because that might mean there's some adjustments that you have to make. If you have, once again, any mobility issues, you have to definitely be careful of the steps and the way that you're stepping, because it can be tricky and it can be slippery. For instance, if it's a slightly windy day, that smaller vessel, which is by no means small, but it's of course smaller than Carnival Panorama, can knock or rock or sway. So you do need to mind your footing and watch what you're doing. That vessel also that is transporting you from the Carnival Panorama over to Cabo, it is a double decker. So there are stairs once you get on. If there's no seating right there, there's stairs that you can go down. So just be very careful. There's handles and there's signage that says watch your step. But in a boat where it's swaying and moving, you just have to really be careful. And the transfer from Carnival Panorama over to the smaller boat and then over to Cabo, it takes about 20, 30, even 45 minutes, depending on the timing of when you've arrived. Because maybe the boat is waiting there for you as soon as you go down to zero gangway, which is where you would enter onto this tender. But you might have to sit there and wait for 15 or 20 or even 30 minutes before the ship actually takes off and heads on over to Cabo. So make sure that you plan accordingly, especially if you have some type of shore excursion that you have to be at a certain time. Just plan, because even though you might be on time, they might cut into your time frame by making you wait there for the rest of the people to board that tender. So let's talk about the time change. I know this might seem really small and trivial to several of you, but it had us being very careful that we didn't miss the ship. When you are on this 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise, or let's say you're doing a different itinerary, but you're headed over to the Mexican Riviera from Long Beach, the time changes not once, but twice. So you have to be really mindful of, well, what time is it? And is it ship time? Is it my watch time, or is it island time? Now they do announce it over the loudspeakers, and they do tell you when you go to one of the shows that talk about getting off on the islands, they remind you, but just be very mindful. The time changes when you're on the ship, so that you need to always be mindful. They're telling you what time the ship will arrive and what time the ship will leave by ship time. So don't get thrown off by island time or your time. Make sure that you have set your devices to the ship time. That will change on you not once, but twice. So next, let's talk about arriving in the port of Mazatlan. I talked a little bit about what you can expect when you're there in Cabo because you have to tender. Now let me tell you what you should expect when you arrive in Mazatlan. The area where the ship is docked, I just called it in the video a storage container area. There were miles and miles of trucks and containers, shipping containers, in the area where you're dropped off. So what you actually have to do is get transportation into the part where you're going to walk through and be on the island. And that is complimentary, and they came very plentifully, but you get on like this little outdoor coach or extra long golf cart. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a motorized vehicle that's open door, and they have them continually coming to pick up passengers and drive you over to the area where you can actually go out onto the island. So just be aware once again, especially for time, if you have a scheduled shore excursion, that you have to give yourself that bit of time, because you do not just walk off the ship, walk into the island. There is some transportation that you need to get over into Mazatlan. Next, let's talk about Carnival Kitchen. This is not exclusive to Carnival Panorama. Actually, it is on the Celebration, the Panorama, and the Mardi Gras. But I want to tell you a little bit about Carnival Kitchen. So what is Carnival Kitchen? It is a dedicated space aboard the Carnival Panorama, and it's one of the most popular activities where you can indulge in cooking classes. You can learn how to make the warm chocolate melting cake that is a favorite with so many passengers and served for dessert every night. Or you can make all kind of other wonderful treats because it's an actual cooking class. Now, Carnival Kitchen is not free. There is an additional upcharge for it. I don't have the amount right now of what that charge is, but just beware that if you're interested in doing one of these really fun and interesting cooking classes aboard Carnival Kitchen, it is an extra fee. I've talked to you about embarkation, so now this next tip is all about disembarkation. One thing that we found very confusing was leaving the cruise ship. You leave the cruise ship and then you enter back into the terminal area where you can pick up your luggage. And that was done really smoothly. They give you a tag on board the ship the night before. You're able to pick up a little ticket, and it has a number system, 1 through whatever, 22. If you need to leave early, you have an early flight, you're going to be leaving early, you get something else. But if you're just going to be a regular, you don't need to leave early. You're just going to get off the ship when you can. You go and pick up a number. And of course, you're called by those numbers. We didn't want to leave, so we had a very high number. We were like, number 22 out of 25. And when you exit the ship into the terminal there, your luggage is stacked up against walls, and right on the top there are numbers. So very easy. You walk out and you see the section for 1s and 2s and 3s. Very easy. You just go over and grab your luggage. So we're doing well so far, right? Well, now it's time to exit the ship and go through customs. And this is where all the confusion came from. There were people standing in lines to get help with their luggage, and there were people standing in line to go to the restroom, and there were 2 lines that you thought might have been the right way to exit, but it's not clearly marked. It should be something large and at the top that you can see. Instead, there are very small signs that stand up on like podiums that say exit here. So we finally found those and noticed there were 2 separate lines. There's a line for if you have a passport, and there's a line for if you're using everything else, a birth certificate or any other form of identification. And as you probably can expect, the line for the passport was moving quite quickly. You can just walk on through and they zip right by all of the rest of us who didn't have a passport or had some other form. So that was quite confusing. It took a lot of interaction to get people into the right line, people cutting in, people cutting out, yelling through the terminal, get in this line. It was confusing. So be on the lookout for the smaller signs that are just standing up on like stands that tell you exit here. And remember, there are 2 lines, one if you have a passport, and the other if you have any other form of documentation to exit out of that terminal. Okay, I've got you all caught up on the things that you absolutely need to know when you travel on the Carnival Panorama. Please let me know in the comments below. Did I miss something? Is there something that definitely should be added to this list so our Right Recipe for Travel family knows what to expect and what to pack, what to do to be ready for your exciting, super fun Carnival Panorama trip? Also, please note in the description below, I still have the links, as I mentioned, of the things that all cruisers need to take on that cruise ship. It's a list in the description below. Check that out. As promised, I wanted to give you some information that we consider a bonus tip. Now, this is not specific to Carnival Panorama, the ship, but it's specific to you flying into Long Beach to go on that Carnival Panorama ship. So we chose, instead of flying into Los Angeles, we chose to fly into the Long Beach airport. And boy, oh boy, was this a revelation. I did not know that the Long Beach airport was a very, very small airport, and the majority of it is outside. What do I mean? When we arrived in Long Beach in February, at the very end of February, it was so super cold and rainy the whole time we were there. So as soon as you exit the ship, what happened? I felt a drop on my head and I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm very used to going out into the airport itself. Well, you're outside when that plane lands. I had no idea. I wasn't sitting by the window. Okay, and you go inside of the airport only for a very short time. There's probably only 3 or 4 or 5 restaurants available there, eateries. I might be saying that wrong, but it's a very small airport area. So you walk in past the few restrooms and the few eateries, and then you go back outside in order to get to the baggage claim, which once again was outside. Remember, I said it was very cold and it was raining. So something that a lot of us learned when we arrived was our luggage was wet. This brings me to a point. I have given videos before on what to take on your carry-on and what to pack in your luggage. I'm going to leave the description link for both of those videos down in the description below. And I've added a few things to the list of items that you really need to have on your cruise that can make your life just so much better, or you flat out need them. I'm adding covers for your luggage. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Let me show you a picture. These are just some luggage covers that do double duty. They make sure to keep your luggage from getting wet, and they also help in keeping it from getting damaged, because you know nobody takes care of your luggage the way you do. So the luggage area, the baggage claim, was all outside. We were sopping wet, our luggage was wet, and people were not in the best of moods. And I was one of them. I just didn't know. So you also stand outside, and in our case, in the cold and rain, to get your transportation. So just a tip, you probably already know, now I didn't, if you're going into Long Beach to take that cruise and you decide to actually fly into the Long Beach airport, beware. It is a very small, quaint airport, and right now, baggage claim is outside. I hope that you have enjoyed the video, and if you have, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up, and also click on that notification bell. When new videos come out, we'll notify you so you can be one of the first to be on the Right Recipe for Travel Hurry Up featured fan. Yeah, I haven't got it together yet, but you'll be one of the first to know. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you at the next adventure.